Hello, everybody. We're coming to you live from the home of Edward and Patricia Thomas. And we're here with Love Talks. And we want to share just a few things about marriage. And I want to say to Patricia and Edward, my reason for this interview was initiated by a visit that I spent with Patricia not too long ago. Along with your biblical materials, I noticed a few self-help books on marriage on the table. Well, it was obvious that you spent quality time in these pursuits. But through our casual conversation, when you made general comments about Edward, I noticed a sparkle in your eyes that just lit up your entire spirit with excitement and enthusiasm. I've known you for a long time, Patricia, but I've never seen that type of just enthusiasm and sparkle before in your inner spirit. You also made some comments without any prompts from me about your relationship with Edward. And that's when I first felt that the both of you had something worth sharing. So I'm going to ask just a few open-ended questions that will permit you and Edward to just express some of the things that have contributed to the success of your relationship. And please add a few before and afters. Typically in a marriage, question number 1, both husbands and wives have some expectation of their roles in the home. Edward, tell us a little about what you perceive to be your role as the husband or man of your home.
To provide for my family, to see that their needs are met, to see that my wife has comfort, to see that she has the things that would make her happy and our life complete, or to just do the things that please her without displeasing myself.
Why is that so important to you, Edward?
Her happiness means a lot to me. When she's happy, I can be happy. I can rejoice in my soul. I feel that God put us together for a good reason, and one reason is to make my wife happy, to do the things that please her, and to help our marriage.
Can you give us an example of something in particular that comes to your mind, some provision that you make that's really so important to you that you've noticed that Patricia really is receptive of and very appreciative of, or something that has maybe had a major impact on your marriage?
Yes, one thing comes to mind. My wife, she likes to go out occasionally for dinner. So when I ask her, honey, why would you like to go? She get enjoyment of me asking her that. So now I got to a point that I like going out with her. So we look forward to going out for lunch or for dinner after church or during special days during the week on a Wednesday on my off day. So we look forward to going out for lunch.
Edward, I noticed that you said that you got used to doing that. To me, that implies that that's not something that was always easy for you. Would that be correct to say that?
It would be.
Okay, can you tell me more about that, or tell us more about that?
Yes. At first, I was reluctant to go out for lunch. Then, after going out and having good conversation with my wife and finding the food to be very good, different places we would go to and enjoy ourselves, it got to be something that I got used to. And it was a good something to get used to. So now, it's something that I'm not reluctant to do any longer. I do it willfully now.
Okay. Patricia, I posed the same question to you, but there's something that Edward said that stays with me. He said that he had good conversation with his wife. And research says that the number one problem that couples report is a breakdown in communication. So along with answering that question, maybe you can also tell us a little bit about how you talk. Let's talk about that a little bit. Can you speak to this connection in your relationship in terms of your communication?
Well, I can, but I'll go back to the first question.
Absolutely.
That was asked of my husband. I'm thinking of things so much more serious in that he takes care of me by providing and taking care of all the bills. I have the first time to pay a light bill, a gas bill, a phone bill. I don't pay any bills. I don't even see them. Up until just recently, he used to carry his bills with him to work in a satchel every day. That's his own little thing that he does that he likes. I have a major bill that I pay, and I assist with that. But as far as the routine bills, the car insurance, all the other bills, I never see them. If I had to swear or confirm in a court of law, I could not tell you what our monthly bills are, but I can tell you with an assurance they are paid in advance. He takes pride every Wednesday night sitting at the table and writing out the bills. So I'm appreciative of how dedicated he is to that issue, to making sure that the things that involve this house are taken care of. To the other issue of communication and his taking me out, which of course I love, and that is the beginning of the week, Sunday being the first day of the week. It helps to stimulate my week. I prepare meals. I prepare larger meals more often than not. And it's nice to reflect back on the beautiful Sundays that I have with my husband, and we go out and he treats me like a queen. And Monday, excuse me, then I look forward to getting into my week of preparing the meals that need to be prepared. In our home, I prepare our Sunday meal on Monday. So I do a regular routine. Whatever large meal I was going to fix on Sunday, I fix it on Monday. And then that propels the week, and then Wednesday is the next day I fix a big meal, and then on and so forth. So all that he does to make my life happier in the way that he does it, in the cooperation, in the helping with the chores, in just the complimentary, we and there's so many other things. I don't want to get ahead of you and
Right.
whatever questions you may have.
Just relax and be yourself.
Okay.
Now, Edward, we briefly spoke earlier, and you were expressing the effect that you have on your wife, the type of person that she is. Do you kind of remember that?
I recall.
Can you just kind of share some of that with the audience, please?
Okay, I can. First of all, Sister Marilyn, I want to thank God for being married. God gave me a wife, and God gave me a wife when I needed a wife most. So I thank God for my wife. I was saying that my wife could not be married to any man. It would take a man of my caliber,
That's true.
not that I'm something special, but the caliber of man that I am, to be the type of husband for her that she needs. I tell her sometimes, marriage is for everybody, but everybody's not for marriage. But the marriage we have together is good because we work together in our marriage to make things convenient for each other. So we are happy as a couple. Still, there are work to be done, a lot of work that need to be done, but we work on those things. So we get it together.
Tell us a little bit more about what you mean when you say that not any man could have Sister Patricia for a wife. What makes her so special and so unique, and what is it about you that connects with her to be the only man that she really, should have?
First of all, because God gave me her, and God knew what type man she needed. I have the patience to deal with Patricia.
Oh God,
The
yes.
patience. I've grown to have the understanding. My oldest daughter and her oldest son had similarities in their health situations, so we have a lot in common. We balance each other out. She know what it takes to please me and make me happy, and vice versa. I do the same toward her. So definitely, she encourages me to be better.
Yes.
And by her doing that, it helps me to be motivated to do better in our marriage. So we work together, and so far it's been beneficial.
Okay. Now, Patricia, I want to hear a little bit more detail about how you've accomplished that. How some of the things, some of the tools that you have begun to use in your marriage. When we were talking earlier, when I visited you, you spoke about how you've established a devotion night and tools and things that you have used with your husband that has some of the tools that you use to help him to be the kind of husband that you want him to be, or how to treat you, to know how to treat you.
Question.
Yes, it is a good question. First of all, I'm very passionate about marriage. I think you have to be willing to bend and grow and be flexible. He has taught me, my husband has taught me a number of things that I didn't know. I mean, I was 47 years old when we got married, and I thought I knew. I thought I knew the male species well enough to handle any situation. He has taught me how wrong I was. But what I did know, I brought that forward into the marriage. And one of the things that was important to me is to grow in God together.
That's good.
And so I asked if we couldn't begin to set aside a night. First it started off just being a little share time. We weren't even calling it date night then. We were just calling it share night. So I still have the very first book that we started, devotional reading. And he would read a page and I would read a page. And in doing so, he opened up. Now, he's a very quiet man by nature, but he opened up. He enjoyed reading that book and the story that was on each page. And we shared, we made a connection with that.
What kind of book was it? Tell us more about the book.
It's a devotion, but I wish I brought it down. It's a devotional book for couples.
Mm-hmm.
And it was, each page was a different story, different biblical thought, but not so scripture based that you would be, distracted.
Mm-hmm.
Real life stories
Okay.
Yes.
that occurred on each of these pages, and they were not long, they were short. So by the time we got a fourth way into the book, he was beginning to really like it. And I didn't have to say anything about, honey, this is our night to read, or this is our devotional night. He was ready before I was. You ready to read? So from there, we graduated into a number of things. We graduated into a regular night of devotion, which is what we retain to this day. We have a night, he gets his Bible, I get mine. During the day, we have thought or read a scripture that we bring. We reread that evening. He leads off in prayer, and then we do a little exhortation, as it were, about the scriptures that we are reading that night. And so it's just, it's enhanced us as a couple. We share prayer requests. Even the dog joins us in prayer. She knows, and I usually ask her, Molly, do you have any prayer requests? And she sits right with us.
Get her. Honey, show her.
She sits right with us, and
She is.
Just keep talking.
and she sits right with us and listens to devotion. And
Sorry, Molly.
listens to devotion and prayer. And anyone who comes into our home will see the same thing. She'll get right in the midst of us when we pray. So we are just grateful for
Yes, we are.
how God has just brought this to pass, how He's just enhanced our lives together. We do everything together, Sister Marilyn. I mean, I don't know where to begin. We do our chores together. if there's a thought that I needed toothpaste, he'll bring home toothpaste or mouthwash, and I'll get the toothpaste. Our minds are so connected. This happens. I said, wow, how did you even think of that? All the time. So, you know.
Patricia, you shared with me something before about some tools that you use with Edward. And I'll just kind of jar your memory. You said something about.
I recall.
Okay, you want to share some of that with
If
couples?
I'm thinking correctly, one of the times I expressed to you that I learned how to to transform a complaint
Mhm.
into a compliment.
Mhm.
And I started that early. If I had a thought for a complaint, I would turn around and give the compliment. And I build on that. If there was only one thing that I had to focus on at that point, many years ago, I focused on that. And I kept doing it. I complimented him for all the things he does. My husband mops the floor every Wednesday night. I would make a big to-do over that. He walks in the door, leaves his coat on, marches the garbage right out the back without fail. He'll stop at the cleaners without me asking, and he'll get my clothes out the cleaners. So I started really emphasizing the compliments. And he finally said to me one day, he says, "You compliment me so much." He said, "I'm gonna have to really step up." And it was like a light bulb that came on. And he just would do things without me even asking. Now it's just so far beyond that. It's almost unimaginable. And he's not at the point where he talks a lot in church, but he's really a communicator at home.
Mhm. Mhm. How has your communication changed for the better? Well, you spoke about, your marriage, but give me an example of a before and after situation, if you can think of how things were before in some respect and how they've changed.
Pertaining to,
Communication. Let's stay with the communication issue, since it's a big one.
okay, I listen, I'm a good listener. So by being a good listener, I realize that I have to have input in conversations.
Yes.
So God is helping me with that. I'm not where I should be, but I'm not where I used to be either.
True.
So I admire my wife, how she can speak. I do. I really admire her etiquette, in speaking. So I learn from her, and I do want to improve in my own, because I know that God has some things for me to do, and I can't do those things by being just complacent.
Mhm.
So I need to be able to be more active, more involved,
Mhm.
and I'm gonna work on it. And I would ask that y'all pray for me in that respect. I need your prayers.
Okay, Patricia, let's flash back to the gleam that I noticed in your eye when you spoke of Edward. How does he turn that on? Just share with us a little bit about how he turns. What makes that happen?
I'm in love with how he keeps his word.
Okay.
Okay, now we're getting somewhere.
I am simply in awe that he keeps his word. Even when I forget, I will ask him concerning something or suggest something weeks ahead, and I'll forget about it. I'll forget that I even asked, and he'll remind me. He'll say, "Well, I'm taking you such and such a place." And I'll say, "Where did that go?" He said, "Don't you remember you asked me?" He keeps his word. If he commits to a job, if he commits to a chore, whatever he commits to, paying a bill, it has made me so in love with his word. He keeps his word. The other wonderful attribute, is that we, although so different, we like to laugh at each other. We have little sayings.
For example?
What's the one from An Affair to Remember, where the guy's on the boat?
On the boat.
Okay, it's where
Do you know?
where the I forget the guy's name, and he says, the woman says, we've already passed the spring of our lives, or it's September or whatever. The point is, it's a little scene from a movie that we both love,
Right.
and we'll say that, or we'll say things like, "That's what we do,"
I remember that one.
which is the scene from The Notebook.
Oh, I love that. I love that.
We've gathered little sayings from love stories that we enjoy, and we use them, and the beauty in it, no matter what's happening, when we say that phrase, we get a smile out of each other. And
Awesome.
I really, I enjoy that. Finally, the fact that he's a real man of God. I don't have to babysit his salvation. I'm far more energetic
Yes, you are.
and passionate about the things of God, but he keeps me balanced. I can be zealous and charged without knowing where I'm going, and he keeps me balanced. I mean, I love his calmness. I love his patience with me. I told him recently that I enjoy how he takes care of me. I enjoy how he cares for me. So it's, I can go on and on, but I just really appreciate that I'm married to him.
Well, one of the books that Pat has been reading is The 5 Love Languages, which we've become pretty accustomed to and knowledgeable about in our Sunday school classes. So Edward, let me ask you, I already know from speaking with Patricia that both of you have discovered each other's love languages. Mm-hmm. So tell me, Edward, or tell us, what is your love language and how does Patricia fulfill that?
Sister Marilyn, my love language come down to respect. And now my wife realized that love is important, but respect is very important to a man. As she have learned to respect me, that enhances my love language. That makes me feel more important as a man to be respected by my wife. So that is one of the most important things that I can think of. That is my love language, respect.
Your bills.
Well, paying my obligations, yes, that's something that I'm committed to. I like to keep my word, and the Bible says, "Owe no man nothing but love." So therefore, I'm obligated to pay my creditors and my tithes.
Can you give us an example of respect for you? What stands out for you in your relationship with Patricia when you speak of a respect that is important to you that she adheres to? Maybe something that was a challenge before and now, she's overcome it. What do you mean when you say respect?
My wife is emotional. She might get a little loud at times, but I don't expect her to get loud with me because that's something that she have learned I don't like. Therefore, she has learned to temper herself with me, whereas her loudness is not an issue anymore. She might say something and she'll get silent and she will let it linger over, and by that happening, we don't have to get into confrontations that we don't have to deal with. So she had learned that I don't like to be overtalked, or I don't like her to just. I told her one time, a long time ago, I'm just being candid and honest. I said, "I'm not one of your boys," and I meant that. I'm her husband. And so she learned that, and we have grown from that.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that. I know it's a challenge to open up like that. But that's what we need. We're helpers one to another, and we really appreciate the fact that you are being transparent. Edward, from my observation, you seem to be so compliant with Patricia. I mean, I've learned more about you and talking to you one-on-one, but I mean, you match clothing without limitation, it seems. And many of us wives spend half an hour on Sunday morning trying to get our husband to take those pants off that do not match that shirt, you know. And, you know, and some of us has frankly just given up. Tell us, Edward, why is Patricia, or how is it that she has managed to be so successful in getting you to comply?
At first, it wasn't easy. I was reluctant to do what I do willfully now. But that's one of my wife's expertise, dressing, knowing how to match colors and things of that nature. So I've learned to say, okay, since that's your ballpark, you know better than I do what I'm going to wear this Sunday. And now, since I get compliments from my attire I have on, based on what my wife would offer me, I've got used to it and I like it. I like it now. So she don't have to tug with me like she had from the start and all. So now I've got to a point that I willfully let her put the clothes out that I'm going to wear on a Sunday or any other specific day.
You know what, it's so obvious that you're a person who really listens well and considers, because you notice the compliments and that made a difference for you.
Yes.
As simple as it may seem, that may not always happen. So I guess listening is really important and thinking is important.
May I add one thing, Sister?
Sure,
Back
feel
to
free.
Affair to Remember, the man's be realistic.
He said, "Be
Be
realistic."
realistic.
Be realistic.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
We usually say that.
Be realistic, you know.
it's so cute. Well, we're going to close with this one question, this last question. And if there's anything else you'd like to add, feel free. What is the one piece that you would ask couples to consider who are struggling in their relationship? Can you think of just something that you would ask couples to just consider? Couples who are struggling in their relationship. It's a pretty broad question.
Being able to open up the lines of communication, being able to let God direct your desires and to treat the other person as you want that person to treat you, and to take the humble side. Even when it's hard to do so, you take the humble side, and I think that would help in a relationship.
Well spoken. Patricia?
I can only add to that, emphasize to each other that you're on the same team. I know next to nothing about sports, but I do know that as a part of a team, you must be a team player. You must have your other team members back. You must play according to the rules, but you must be considerate that you're on the same team. I like to say, if he doesn't look good, I don't look good. And I don't mean that just from a standpoint of limiting it to clothing. Vidal Sassoon, I guess, said that many, many years ago about a hair product. But I said, if he doesn't look good, I don't look good. Vice versa. We're on the same team. And that's what has come into our marriage and been an important component to make our marriage happy, what it is today.
Edward and Patricia, I'd like to thank you so much for allowing us to come into your beautiful home, and your beautiful marriage. I believe that through your ability to share the something special that you have, many of us have been able to glean something that we can apply to our own marriages. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give a shout out to Mr. and Mrs. Thomas for allowing us to glance into their beautiful, beautiful marriage.
Thank you. I came,
Play the simple.
I didn't. I came up from a very domineering mother.
You spoke about that.
And my mother ran things, and my sister and I just, we would just stand back shaking, kind of watching. But as I got married very young, I took that mentality into my marriage. And it took me to grow and mature and meet Brother Thomas, and he let me know that's not gonna work here. And so he just changed the rules to the game. And I started observing how well he did things. I said, let's start listening to him a little bit more. He's doing stuff so well.
Makes a
And
difference.
so it's just made the difference,
Yes.
And then, as different as we are, Sister Marilyn, we have a lot of things in common. We love old romantic movies. And he's very sentimental I notice when he watches movies that are about fathers or about slavery, he sheds a tear.
Really?
Occasionally.
And I'm so moved by
Kinda
that.
softy, huh?
Yes.
That he never cries around me or anything, but I mean, when there's a movie about that,
Right.
I know it affects his core.
Connections.
And the latest movie we watched where that got to him, I don't know if he got as far as a tear, but Courageous,
Yes. Oh yeah, it was a very good movie. Very good movie.
that we watched that on our date night, a week ago?
A couple of weeks ago.
A couple of weeks
So
ago?
you still have date night once a week, right?
We still have date night,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
That's awesome.
so,
Yeah, I was just taken aback when we asked Brother Thomas, well, when,
Oh,
I asked
oh,
you
yes.
and you came back and
Okay.
he doesn't want to do it. And I'm like, huh? And Ben
Yeah,
talks to
nice.
him, and it was so funny when Ben told me, and Brother Thomas said in so many words, look, I'm the man. Nobody asked me anything. How did you say what it is?
that's truly what he said.
What happened? I never got to hear that from you.
That's truly what he said.
He said, my wife is an outspoken woman, but she doesn't run me. I'm telling you, Brother Ben, she doesn't run me.
Yes.
Well, that is the truth. He said that to me. He said, nobody asked me. I didn't do anything. So I said, okay. I texted Sister Marilyn right away. I said, it's off.
And I was like, talk to him, Ben.
And he did. Brother Ben did just that.
And it was amazing when I saw him
I got
again.
some chicken about it. He has gone forward, and I'm
Right.
just
And
got
I
a
was-
chicken right out.
I was like kind of terrified when I finally came to him and I was like, well, Brother Thomas explaining what happened,
Right,
that we were just
right.
visiting and things just kind of happened.
Right.
And then he was like a total different person than the one that Ben had explained. So
Yeah.
apparently Ben was successful. He was like,
He was.
oh, I'm honored. I was like, huh? Boy, he was pretty
'Cause he
effective.
wasn't honored when I first met him.
But
Okay.
do y'all understand my point of view?
Yes. Mhm.
I hadn't been asked, so I felt like, well, you definitely should ask my opinion of, am I willing to partake in the film or, So
Absolutely.
once that happened, then I felt better about it.
Absolutely.
Okay.
That was so
He's a
cute.
character. He can be a character. He talks about
He can be a
me.
character.
Yeah, I guess
But-
I can.